Alright, YouTube, I was going to do a dedicated, Halloween stream or a Halloween video. I know I spoke of this before, but I decided not to because, honestly, between people that are afraid that Clinton's going to start a nuclear war and people that are afraid that Trump will start a nuclear war, we've already got the biggest spook story you can possibly concoct in the form of our election. And the third wheel candidates are essentially the boiled down to hippie grandma who looks a little bit like she's dressed up as Cyndi Lauper for Halloween, honestly. Middle-aged Cyndi Lauper. She's actually looking pretty good for someone who's, I think, pushing 70 or something. And then Gary Johnson, who barely even knows his own name because he smoked too much dope. I decided to make a video about something that I had thought of. I haven't seen it in the legacy media. I wonder why, which is that Comey would have violated the Hatch Act if he had not notified Congress specifically of what was going on. Now, H.A. Goodman has given me a shout out, so I'm going to give him a shout out too. Link in the description to his video where he, right at the beginning, he mentions me. So I'll do him a solid in return because I appreciate it. The election's coming up, and as much support as people who are analyzing the election from a fair perspective, who aren't completely bought off by a campaign, especially people who are independent minded and are not just mindless partisans. Like, I've never registered with the Republican Party. I voted for Obama in '08. I voted for Ron Paul in 2012. I couldn't stand Mitt Romney any more than I could Obama. So I'm not a Republican partisan. Those of us who are more independent, we're clear-headed, we're able to analyze things without a bunch of bias. We need to pull together to some degree because we're forming a new media. We're beginning to replace the legacy pundits that right now are, half of them appear to be having a nervous breakdown. Nate Bronze is having a nervous breakdown. He's tweeting all sorts of weird crap. I'm worrying for his mental safety or something like that. But I thought it was important to simply point that out, that Comey, right now people like Reid and Clinton are saying, well, he may have violated the Hatch Act because he's weighing in right before the election. It's obviously a partisan move. If Comey has looked at this info, though, and there is damaging material there. You see, Reid and Clinton, their argument only stems from the idea that there's not. But if there is damaging material there, and I can't imagine that Loretta Lynch would have granted this warrant unless she herself was compelled that it was too damaging to keep under wraps. And then Obama comes out and says, no, I don't think he's trying to influence the election. Obama just stabbed Hillary Clinton in the back. He's going to save his own legacy at her expense. Clinton's campaign is, in my estimation, fundamentally over. Because the president, a Democrat, he's spoken for Hillary Clinton before, he's been a proxy, he's spoken before she speaks, he holds his own rallies on her behalf, he's given little but praise to her since they ran against one another so many years ago. He comes out and says, oh, no, I don't think Comey's trying to influence the election. I'm not really on board or off board with what he's doing. I don't have a problem with it. Can you say backstabbed for self-serving purposes? I mean, Obama's doing that to save his own career. I think he knows. I think he's seen some of the material. Comey probably showed him, well, look at these 2 or 3 emails here. They're so damning. I had no choice, Mr. Obama. It's beyond my power to stop this at this point, whether you want me to stop it or not. Loretta Lynch probably gave in too, because she's a Clinton ally. She's more of a Clinton ally than she is almost an Obama ally. Obama probably had to tell Lynch to sign off on the warrant, to let him investigate. But if the material is damaging, and I can't imagine any other scenario under which Comey would have spoken about this at all, he would have been violating, absolutely, he would have been violating the Hatch Act if he hadn't notified Congress that potentially pertinent information had been found. Because by omitting that, by misleading Congress, he would be showing a partisan favor to the Clinton campaign. Because despite the fact that there is a reasonable interpretation that the material there could be damaging to her, he would have chosen to withhold it until after the election. That would be a violation of the Hatch Act if the material is damaging. And all evidence points to it being so. I don't think, by the way, when people say, oh, well, a couple days from now he'll clear Clinton of everything, I don't think so. Because if that were the case, Loretta Lynch wouldn't have signed off on this warrant. Never would have happened. What happened is that they were investigating Weiner, the I-sexed 15-year-olds dude, the husband of Huma Abedin. and they found material that is potentially linked to the Clinton investigation. Now, the Democrats are crying foul. Well, you don't have a warrant to look through this material. If the police are searching your hard drives for information related, say they got a warrant to search you under the auspices of they think you're a drug dealer because there's a reasonable suspicion that you're dealing meth or something like that, and they find a bunch of emails on your system to someone who they've already been investigating before for murder, who they kind of let the case go, but now here's new evidence to potentially reopen the case. All they would have to do is seek a new warrant. They could look through the material all they want because they've already got a warrant to search your material. They've got a warrant to search Anthony Weiner's material. They didn't need a second warrant to look through it. They only need a second warrant to look through it in the understanding that it's related to a separate investigation. There is no way in hell or earth, or on heaven, or in purgatory, or Deva-chan, or reincarnation, or anywhere else, there's no possible way that Loretta Lynch would have sat by and allowed this warrant to be given if there wasn't something there that, number one, she's already seen, number two, is so absolutely damaging that there's no way to cover it up. That's my estimation of what's happening. Now, as to H.A. Goodman claiming, oh, there will be an indictment, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. At this point, though, it doesn't matter. The public perception, looking at the fact that a warrant was served, that it involves 650,000 emails, whether or not any of them relate to Clinton or not, right now, MSNBC and CNN and The Guardian and Nate Silver and Hillary and Donna Brazile and Tim Kaine, they are all in a full-blown panic, and Obama just largely abandoned them. It could not get worse for the Clinton campaign. They don't have enough time to respond effectively, and ultimately, Clinton's response was so haphazard, I don't think it was planned at all. I think it's a Hail Mary. I think it's a Hail Mary to try to stave off the bleeding and hope beyond hope that the FBI doesn't either indict or say something else that damages her further before people actually go to the polls. That's what it looks like to me. And I don't think it's going to work. I think she's done. There's now a very good likelihood that this has killed off her possibility of winning, regardless of what else is dumped. We then have Donna Brazile gets kicked out at CNN. She's no longer able to correspond with them. CNN comes out and says, well, we're very disappointed about what we've learned. Someone earlier, or rather a lot of people, talking about, oh, well, WikiLeaks fudges all of its material. I see it every day on, like, Being Liberal. Oh, WikiLeaks, that stuff's just, it's not even real. Well, CNN apparently thought it was since they kicked Donna Brazile off. I think that'd be something they would want to have. The head of the DNC, that's pretty heavy hitting. They'd want her on for interview segments and as a correspondent or whatever the hell else she happens to be doing there. It'd be a good idea. It means more viewership. It means better ratings. It means getting the real skinny on some of the inside stuff going on with the DNC. They're not talking to her anymore. Why do you think that is? Because they thought that the WikiLeaks leaks were just Russians fudged a bunch of fake emails and then put them out in Hillary Clinton's name? I don't think so. So as for Goodman claiming, well, you know, I said before and I'll say now there will be an indictment, I would be more skeptical of that, but it doesn't matter. That's the point. Perception is what matters. What the average independent voter is seeing right now is that Hillary Clinton has been implicated in a totally separate and even larger scandal pertaining to the original scandal that kept a lot of them off board with her campaign to begin with. It doesn't matter that the independent voting base by this point in the election has shrunk. It doesn't matter. With the polls narrowing, Trump probably only needs 2 or 3 more points to win most of the battleground states. He's only 2 points behind in Pennsylvania right now. That doesn't sound like a dying Trump campaign. Being Liberal early, they run a story, oh, Trump knows that he's done now. No, he's just not willing to admit it. I think it's the opposite. I think when Clinton gets up there and she does that smarmy fake smile face that she always does when she gets caught out doing something, only this time it was extra strained, I think it's because she knows that the big one's coming. She may actually have to face justice this time. She may actually get indicted. We then hear, and this has been a rumor for some time, but until now there was no reason to believe it had any credibility, we now realize there's a pretty good possibility that there's an ongoing fight within the FBI because they knew that Clinton deserved to be indicted in the first place. Maybe Comey was just looking for an excuse to indict her, to right the wrong, to say to hell with the bribery or blackmail or whatever Clinton had to do to get off the hook in the first case. and say, well, this time I mean business, because I'm out as FBI director if she wins, number one. I'm probably out anyway, number two, because somebody's gonna fuck me off in some way, so I might as well, do something that I'll be remembered for, because then I can actually go out in my community and people won't call me like a traitor or something like that. I think he also realizes that the volume, the absolute volume of the emails that apparently were found on this device means that they probably were searching feverishly through this before he made his announcement. But the announcement wouldn't have been made if they had searched through this material and found nothing specifically compelling. They wouldn't have. It would have been a non-issue. Why would they bother? Oh, yeah, here's one of Hillary talking about her yoga class. Okay, that's kind of, technically it's hidden from the FBI, but, this just exonerates her further, because she said that all the deleted material she didn't hand over was just personal stuff. I have a sneaking suspicion that what they actually found is that a large proportion of the stuff that was deleted wasn't personal stuff, it was the real scandal. The real scandal we're missing in the 33,000 emails. In addition to the fact that Wiener's probably fucked, Huma Abedin may very well be fucked. Podesta's been fucked by WikiLeaks anyway. We're getting new leaks now. WikiLeaks leaks are getting more damaging. O'Keefe is still, in the next couple days or so, he's promising his big hit video, which could be a campaign killer. I have no way of knowing. I haven't seen the goddamn video. Don't ask me exactly what it contains within. Is it Hillary ranting drunkenly about black people? Is it Creamer and Fovel saying that she ranted drunkenly about black people? Is it Tim Kaine ranting about black people? Is it Hillary Clinton talking about demographics in a shifty, pandering manner? Who knows, and who fucking cares? It might not even matter at this point. Hillary Clinton's campaign has just been woefully damaged by this FBI revelation. But Comey would not have done it if there weren't a reason to do what he did. It never would have happened, because why would he risk getting blamed for violating the Hatch Act unless the alternative was actually violating it? That's the reason why I believe Comey's in the right on this. I think he took one look at this info that his agents dug through, realized, oh shit, this is all the stuff Hillary Clinton didn't give us in the first place, thus leading to no indictment, because we had some dirt, but not enough to compel at least the public during an election that the candidate's, a total fucktard, she's totally corrupt. But now they have that extra info with the real dirt, with the real damaging stuff. That's why he notified Congress, because if he had withheld that material, he would have been influencing the election by not letting Congress know that it had been found in the first place. I would not be surprised if Lynch and Obama are going to be in communication with some of the higher-ups within the DNC, other than Brazil probably, as well as some of the Democrats in Congress saying, it's time to get to your proverbial political bunkers, because the fallout from this one, if we have no choice but to actually release some of this info before Election Day, is going to be so massively damaging. We've lost the election, number one. A lot of the down-ballot people who are up for re-election will try to shield them the best we can. Why do you think Obama would take a back row seat on this and actually say, no, I don't think Comey's doing anything wrong? He wants to shield other political allies from the fallout of this, because he knows how bad it is. He's the president of the United States. Comey has already talked to him, I assure you, about the ins and outs of what they found. And if it's that damaging, it can't be hidden from the public. It's too large a scandal. When a scandal is small, it's easy to hide it. You can brush it under the rug. You can pay someone or threaten someone. They'll handle it for you if they know what's good for them. Yeah, here's $1 million. Bury this story. Oh, it would be a terrible, tragic thing if you were to lose your job, if you were to leak that info here. Just keep it under wraps for a couple more months while the election winds down, okay? Yeah, here's $100 and some cocaine. Here, just take care of it for me. That's what happens in D.C. all the time, but when it becomes so monumental that the president doesn't want, he doesn't want the fallout from it, because he's got a legacy to save. He doesn't want all of his allies in Congress that he's going to keep getting money from, because he's been the president, did them a solid, they're going to owe him favors, they're going to hook him up with speaking arrangements. He's going to be getting tens of millions for the rest of his life. He doesn't want to lose that. He doesn't want to be remembered as the president who tried and failed to protect somebody who ultimately lost anyway and probably ended up in a jail cell. That's what I think is going on here. No, we're not seeing all the info yet. And it's even odds as to whether we see it before Election Day. But the damage is already done. It's already done. Comey already sent his letters off to Congress. There's nothing that can be done about it now. Why are the Democrats blaming Russia? Howard Dean and Harry Reid have already come out to blame the Russians for this too. Are these fucking McCarthyists that nuts that they think the public believes them when they say, Director Comey is siding with the Russians. Director Comey is suppressing info on Russian intrusions into Trump's campaign, and they're funding. He's an evil man. He's trying to take over the country like Hitler or something. Oh, come on. What a fucking spook story. It's not even believable. The good thing about a good spook story is believable enough to give people the chills. Nobody believes that. That's like out of a spy versus spy flick. It goes way... That's like James Bond material. Okay, put it in an action movie. But don't try to pass it off as nonfiction. With all the laser beams and the secret invisible space Nazis and stuff like that. It's what it sounds like to me. It's a bunch of bullcrap. I think even a lot of Clinton fans see through it. They're probably still going to vote for her. The Hardin fans will anyway. They'll have party loyalty, the partisans and the Hardin fans. What about all those soft supporters? All they're hearing is, yeah, I've been caught out in another scandal. I blame the Russians. For what, the 10th time in the goddamn campaign? I don't think it's going to work for her. So yeah, Comey didn't have a choice. He would have been breaking the Hatch Act if he didn't release the material. If he didn't tell Congress about it, if he didn't attempt to get this warrant from Lynch, then he would have been showing that he had partisan leanings, because the FBI has to follow up with any legitimate lead that it happens to get into an investigation. That's what he's doing. Why are people crucifying him for it? What did you expect him to do? Bury it for Clinton's behalf? Oh, don't worry, Madam Clinton. Despite the fact that you already basically made a mockery of my bureau and tarnished my legacy to begin with, I'll do you yet another solid, violate several laws in the process, and cover for you until after the election, when it'll probably come to light anyway, and risk my own agents potentially outing me in the process and telling the world, yeah, the FBI director covered up for Hillary Clinton. I think that's what he's ultimately worried about. So yeah, that's about all. Peace out.